Hello everyone, welcome to the Light the World podcast, and I'm your host, LT World, and you're listening to a special interview episode. On this channel, we like to talk about things that drive culture, but we also like to talk to people who have something to share with others. That can be a special talent, like music or acting. That can also be a crazy story, like growing up in a cult and managing to escape. So sit back, listen, and enjoy what today's guest has to share with the world.
Something tells me to continue, I don't want to stop until my body drop. I want to stay on top, stay on top, stay on top, yeah, yeah. I want to stay on top, stay on top, stay on top, yeah, yeah. I want to stay on top, stay on top, stay on top.
Hey Matt, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me. I was excited to have you on. How you doing?
Grateful to be here, bro.
Grateful to be here. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to get started right away. Jump right into it. "Stay on Top" was your new single that you came out with, right?
Yes, sir.
How is it doing? How's it performing so far?
It's doing great. I'm really happy about it. Just the feedback and the viewership in terms of the YouTube, the music video online and just on all streaming platforms. It's been doing really, really well for my first song. I'm really happy, and I'm hoping that people are really listening to it and listening to the lyrics and the impact of that. I'm hoping people get impacted from it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be playing some clips of it during like the show a little bit, or introduction or whatever. But what is the song about for anyone who hasn't listened to it yet? Like, what's the song actually about, and what was the inspiration behind it? I'm really curious.
All right, so "Stay on Top" is made to be taken in many different ways, but for me personally, it's about my struggle over the past year. I struggled pretty hard with anxiety. I think it was a mixture of things, with this pandemic, and I just had a time in life where I was making a lot of really hard decisions, and it ended up leading me to having anxiety and having it become a pretty severe thing, a little more on the serious end of things, and to where like I had to like get legitimate help. Mm-hmm. And it's not fun, bro. It's hard because you just what's going on internally and physically. There's a lot of physical things that can happen with anxiety. For me personally, my experience with it, a lot of it was physical. Mm-hmm. To where I felt like I was literally dying, and it's a scary thing. But by faith and by perseverance, I was able to push through that hard time. And what the song is about is, it's kind of structured as like this. So you listen to the song. I highly encourage everybody that's listening to go check it out if you haven't, to really get an idea of, so you understand what I'm saying. The verses in the song are supposed to be like the dark parts of what I've went through, and about how, like a lot of people in society and in the community are counting on me when, they don't really know like what you're dealing with. And I'm the type of person that's like a people pleaser. So I continue to try to shrug it off, and it's like when I have issues and I have hard times, like my family and friends and everybody would be like, "It's okay, you're fine, just breathe." But it's not that easy. That's not how it works. Like they don't know what it's like to, people that don't struggle with it, like don't know what it's like to like have to rely on whether it's therapy, whether it's like medication or anything like that. It's hard. It's a hard path to take, but over time it gets better. But in the midst of creating the song, that's like kind of the stages I was at. So the dark parts are like the hard parts of like, like nobody knows what it's like, nobody knows what it's like to deal with it, and it's like, what more could I do to talk about it in the verses? And the chorus though is the good part, like when you're on top of it, when you're staying on top of your anxiety. Like in the music video, like I tried to paint a picture for it. So it's like the verses are me strapped in a chair in a room, while the chorus is me literally glowing in a white backdrop room of just all light. And I was dressed up really good. I had jewelry on and everything, borrowed, by the way. It's not mine. But no, it was cool, the whole process, and everything was all structured really nicely. So yeah.
That was gonna be like one of my questions was like, what was the inspiration behind the music video? But that's cool to actually see that there was something behind it. Because when I watched the music video, I was like, this is really cool, but I'm not entirely sure what all the symbolism is. But being strapped in a chair, that's all. That kind of all makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know you kind of mentioned this idea of like no one really understands what it's like to be on therapy and stuff. In the song, you talk about like no one understands what it's like to be on a pill. So I guess in that regard, you're talking specifically about medication.
Yeah, personally for me, I'll be openly honest. I am taking medication because it was what it was recommended for me, and I figured, because it was getting to a point where it was legitimately becoming a disorder. So to where it was really hard for me to manifest control. So I tried it, and it's been really helpful for me. It's not for everybody though. I highly recommend if you're considering trying it to really read into the benefits, but also the side effects, because it's at the end of the day, it's really not for everybody. But luckily it ended up being something for me, and it's been very, very helpful. So yeah, like when I sing in the song, like they don't know what it's like to rely on a pill. I mean, I do. I have to take it every morning. If I don't, I start having relapse effects, and it's not fun. They're not fun effects. Like you get, there's some stuff that happens with your brain because of the cortisol. So
is the hope then by making this type of music where it's like talking about your dark thoughts, it's like almost really personal music, which I think is kind of a trend right now, especially within the music industry. I know a lot of people I listen to, that's kind of what they do. They talk a lot about their personal experiences, these struggles they're going through. Mental illness is a big topic right now in music. How do you think this helps people who are listening to your music specifically? Like when you made this song, you released it, I'm assuming you had this idea that it could help people. And what way do you think that accomplishes that?
I was waiting for that question. That's huge. I love answering this one because that's all I do. Like, you have people that listen to music, like, to just kind of have it going on, to have it be something that's going through their ears. But then you have people that really listen to music. And I'm one of those people. Like, I listen to music where the words in the song lyrically hit you in the gut, because it's like something that you're really going through. It's something that's really applicable to you. So, I mean, what more could I do to talk about a song where I'm in the midst of struggling with anxiety and writing everything on a page of what it feels like? I really hope that it hit a lot of people in the gut of this is what I know those feelings. Like, I know what it's like. That's the biggest thing with this song, is I want it to be an implication to people, to let them know, you're not alone in this fight. There are so many people dealing with these issues that whether it's they're open about it or they're not, a lot of people don't even talk about it. A lot of people keep it private. So you would have no idea. It could be the person right on your right, and when you're going into, I just went to Sheets to get something to eat. I don't know if the person on my left or my right is going through what I'm going through, but as a musician, and as I'm taking the gifts that I believe personally that God's given me, to take these gifts and be able to use them, to let people know that they're not alone. Like, that's a huge tool, and what an honor it is to be able to use it to help people. And because I have tons of artists that I look up to that do the same thing, that take words and there's certain lines in songs that just hit me, and it's just like, wow, and it's soothing though, because it's like this person's saying what I'm thinking, and it's like he's along, we're going through the same stuff, and it's somebody bigger, and so it's nice,
Yeah, I know, in my experience, having listened to songs like yours, which I really enjoyed, by the way. I really like the song.
Thank you very much.
But I also I know NF and stuff. I know he's very similar in that regard. I like listening to him. But some of these artists that I listen to, I know, talking specifically normal people who are a little bit older generation, the criticism that comes up that I hear sometimes is, well, this just reinforces negative mindset. You need to listen to positive, uplifting music to get yourself out of the blues or whatever. So listening to all this negative stuff is actually bad for you. What are your thoughts on that?
That's really tough. I have to say that can be truth for some people. I know for me personally, when I listen to sad music, I'm big into what's called the emo rap scene, and that's what this song. Well, that's what this song was considered when we really got down to what style is this song. Like emo rap was a big one because a lot of that music is like dark and depression and all these different feelings put into a song. But it's like there's so many people that I talk to that like, including myself, that like use music like that as an outlet. I'm a big Juice WRLD guy, and I mean, rest in peace to Juice. The way that he wrote was so one of one. You'll never find anybody like him at his age. Like he died right before he turned 21, and the way that he wrote some of his music, and so, like, I don't do drugs or anything. No, I don't ever plan on it. But like the way that he wrote about the pain mentally outside of the drugs were still so applicable to me. Of certain things. Like I use the song Wishing Well a lot, and that's one of his big songs, and it's like, you know, we try so hard to you know, we take our pain and our wishes and throw it in the wishing well, but still no luck. You know, and we keep trying and we keep failing, but it's like I feel like that's kind of a part of the human condition a little bit. And it's just crazy how applicable that is to me, and it's really soothing. It's a soothing feeling when artists step up and talk about their dark places. And but again, I think the people that have that type of criticism are right in a sense, because you know, if someone's in a dark and depressing place and they just keep listening to depressing music, it might lead them darker into their void, and it's scary.
I mean, I also think it has partially to do with what type of sad music we're talking about, because there's obviously songs out there that I wouldn't even recommend that tell you commit suicide stuff. Like there's some songs that have been criticized for literally like praising suicide, which obviously is a problem, because if someone's in a dark state and they're listening to a song that's encouraging suicide, that's going to encourage bad behavior. But I think there's a difference between that and like someone expressing their pain, but also expressing potentially some sort of like a way to get over it, or like I'm trying to get over this. Like this is worth the fight to get over. I know NF does that quite a bit, and some of these artists also do that quite a bit. We're like, yeah, this is happening, but I'm still fighting, or this is happening, but there's hope, or this is happening, but God's with me. Like that type of mentality.
100%.
And
I try to do that too.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe. Like, listen to that whole thing with stay on top and all that. Like, there's this. You're going through this hard time, but you just gotta stay on top of it. You gotta stay on top of it, and eventually there's a light at the end of the tunnel kind of mentality.
It's a continuous fight, man. You gotta run the race. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah. Now, moving forward here now with going down the road, and now that you have released Stay on Top, you're single, and new project?
New music is in the works. But it's so important to, and I want to like emphasize this to a lot of listeners right now who are artists that are really striving to go big. It's obviously not an overnight thing. It's an overnight thing if it's a miracle. And it's for the people who deserve it. It's for the people that truly get their gifts recognized. Like, I mean, going back to Juice WRLD was an overnight success, and he deserves it. I mean, his writing was one of one. He's just an unfathomable writer, but it's not going to happen overnight. It's a grind. It takes a lot of strategy. It takes a lot of business planning. So I believe I'm at a point in my career where I have music that can be heavily commercial, which is very challenging music to find, and takes a lot of backup. So I do have stuff I'm working on for the future. My next track is 100% the best track I've ever made. And all I do is make music and make productions and things like that. I'm a producer at heart, but I'm striving to be an artist because I stand out in ways that I do it all. I do all of it. I do the writing, I do the recording, I do the producing.
So you write your own songs?
I do.
Nice.
I am at a point where I have certain songs where it's like they can be so commercial if I just find the perfect hook that I just can't get out of me. I need those co-writers that have a lot of experience that are able to be able to fill those and be able to make the ticket, like the song that you'll hear on commercials, the songs that you'll hear in stores and stuff like that fit the commercial vibe. But that's very challenging because there's tons of artists and stuff. But anyway, this music takes time. It takes a lot of persistence. It takes a lot of strategy. So I'm going to continue moving forward, like pushing Stay on Top, because this song is certainly marketable, obviously, because it pertains to mental health. And I still want to try and get connected with a lot of mental health organizations and do things that are revolved around the song and be able to make opportunities happen that can help people. But my next track is going to be something that I hope breaks more barriers and helps me seep through the surface of this industry, because this industry is a vicious animal that's just hungry for great sounding music. And I feel like the best sounding music comes from the basement. It comes from
Your SoundCloud rappers?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Isn't
that where Chance the Rapper came from?
That's where so many artists came. Yes, that's where so many artists came from. Like, that's where Post Malone came from, and he just dropped an album yesterday, and it is one of the most beautiful pieces of work I've heard in a long time. But anyway, yeah, I feel like the best music for beginning artists are the best when they start from their foundation. So this first song I worked on started from the foundation. It started from the basement. Literally, I was messing around on my MIDI controller, my piano, and I was just going through different samples of synths that I had, and I just found this one that was like really ominous and really luminescent, and I was just randomly playing chords, and I found this one progression that was like, this is new. This has not been done before. Like, this is the progression that I got to take this. I got to claim this progression. So I did it, and that was the baseline. So over the past, I would say 7 months, I just built on it and built on it and built on it, and now it's like a song with over 40 tracks, tons of stuff,
my word,
of tons of different sounds. It has so much depth, and the meaning behind it also creates even more of that depth.
So you spent 7 months on one song?
Oh yeah.
My word.
Dude, I spend a lot of time. I mean, Stay on Top was a quick one because it happened so in the moment, and the production of it was very simple. It's really just drums, a nice sounding 808, and a guitar sample that I found, all put together, and that's it. That's all that it was. And the vocal was supposed to be the driving factor that drives it home, and I think it certainly was. I mean, I tried to get the best engineer to do my vocal possible, and it all worked out because he made me sound like a radio kind of vibe, you know.
I just think that's incredible because like it takes me 7 months to write a book, and you're spending 7 months on just like one song. Like that just blows my mind because you're putting so much work into this. This 3 minutes worth of production, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of artists work differently. Like, a lot of artists have lyrics written already, like ready to go. But then some artists, like me, I start with the production, and then I kind of let the process happen naturally and organically, and then I start writing. So the production, all it started with was that synth. It was just that synth that I thought was like, this is really unique. This is something that sounds really good, really pleasing to the ear. So I took that, and I set up the structure for a song, and I just kept looping it. And over the span of the process of over the 7 months, I thought of different elements that can go into the project that can build it and build it and build it and build it. And now it got to the point to where it is. And the vocals, it's definitely the best I've ever done vocals. I think Stay on Top, the vocals were good. I hear things that I think I could have done better. But Hideaway, I'm at a point with this song where like everything is almost perfect. Pre-mix. And that's like, you know, not easy to do.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these artists like kind of just do the vocals in ways they hear it and then let the mixer do their magic. For me, it's like, this is pre-mix, and I think the vocals are like, I want them to still sound radio ready, but they're pretty close to radio ready before even mixing it. So yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm excited for this one. It's called Hideaway. That's the name of the song.
Or is the album?
That's the name of the song. Okay. It's the next song. The album's gonna be awesome. It's gonna take me a long time though because tons of marketing, tons of pushing. Because at the end of the day, I mean, to be able to get a record deal out of it would be an absolute blessing. But this project is really important to me because it's something that certainly can't be duplicated. It cannot be duplicated because of everything I went through personally.
Yeah.
And like it got to a point where it's like it was a week of going through a lot of things, a lot of different emotions, a lot like a roller coaster of stuff. And I basically just put a bunch of words that I thought could be song names and put them all together. And it ended up becoming this cohesive project. And that's another thing that's interesting about me is I think of a lot of album concepts before I even start writing them. I just kind of put names together, put names of songs together and think about how can I create all of these into tracks but have it be a cohesive album, a cohesive project. So
is this new album that you're working on still like deal with a lot of mental health stuff, or is it kind of more variety, or what?
Yeah, so it does. It definitely deals with mental health a lot, but it's really just about my personal journey really over this past year because let's be real, past 2 years. These past 2 years have been really hard for all of us. With this pandemic, with our political climate, with mental health in general has taken a skyrocket in terms of overall people, like
suicide rates and stuff like that has increased.
And, anxiety cases and everything of people having to seek help. And I think we all need to be here for each other. And I think music is a huge way of doing that. And this project is so important because it's talking about like how I'll spill the beans. The name of the album is going to be called Growth.
Okay.
And it's basically these past 2 years is my experiences of finding areas of that I need growth in. And I went through a lot of, I've said it a lot, but I went through a lot of dark things. And one of the things I didn't mention that I went through was, I am openly a Christian, and I actually, really honed in on my relationship with God when I was in college, and I graduated last year. And I started getting plugged into my home church a lot more, and obviously we're here in Pennsylvania, and I'm from New Jersey. So when I went home from college, I chose to get plugged into my church a lot more, and because of my faith in school. And I got close with the pastor team at my church, including the head pastor, whose name was Frank Fowler. And it led me to really wanting to have more talks with him, and I ended up having a dinner with him, which was really lovely. And this kind of happened in a flash, but he started getting dizzy spells in the midst of services, and everybody was confused as to why it was happening, and a week passed or a couple weeks passed, and he ended up having to take a break from the position and figure out what was going on. And from there on out, it started getting progressive, and the doctors found out that he had what's called a Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, which is a very rare disease. 1 in 800 people it's like, I don't know the exact numbers, I have to look them up again, but the percentage is like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. The amount of, the rarity of somebody getting something like this. But it's a progressive brain disease that basically bacteria like eats up at your brain, and it causes things to happen. It causes side effects to happen. One of the first things is dizzy spells, but then it leads into a coma. And then, unfortunately, there is no cure. So in pretty much almost every case, it's led to death.
And this is your pastor, you said?
Yeah. And so we, not only me, but our church lost Frank, and it was a really heavy weight to carry.
And when was this?
Really hard. This was last year. Actually, a couple weeks ago was his year anniversary, and it was a really heavy weight to carry for me, for my family, for my church, the community, and that's another big thing that played a role in this project is like the role that Frank had for me of the short time of really wanting to get to know him before all this happens, and it's really crazy because it's really sad that these things happen, and we can't help as Christians but like lament and ask God, like, you know, like why do you have to have these things happen when things are going good, like for me? But now it's like I'm really starting to realize that it's like it's a part of my personal plan. I can't really speak for my community because everybody lives different lives. But it's for me because now Frank is going to play a role in this project, and it's now I feel like it's my responsibility to try and show Frank's legacy in ways that I can through my music and through a specific project that I'm not going to get into because it's really important to me, and I'm keeping it. It's going to be a really powerful song in the project, but yeah, because Frank left an impact on our entire community. What more can I do to have him leave an impact on thousands of people? He served our church for 38 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
A long time, and he was actually in the midst of the clergy was, you know, his term was up, so the clergy was saying it's time to retire. But he didn't want to retire, so he actually got a waiver and was able to continue to preach. But then this stuff happened, and it's really tragic. But so I'm really excited for this project, man. It's really personal to me, and I'm hoping that this personal touch that I put on this project can seep through listeners' ears and help them in any way. Because it's a lot of different topics I cover through this project, whether it's relationship. Mental health. Some of the songs are really motivating. I got one song in there called "Man in His Prime," and it's like one of my favorite because it's one of those really hyping, motivating. Is it
like upbeat, really fast paced?
Yeah, upbeat.
Is it?
It's got the hip hop production on it. It's a hip hop song, so the production on it is stellar.
There you go.
Really good. Like all the samples that I found and everything fell into place. And it ended up becoming this beautiful.
Are you working with the same people on this project as you did with Stay on Top?
In terms of, I did everything, writing, recording, mixing, writing, recording, producing, mixing, I'm going to try and get my way in some doors and I'm going to do a lot of research because in terms of the mixing, I'm going to be very picky with who I want, whose trust I'm going to put in for mixing these projects because again, I want them to sound really commercial, and I want them to sound really. I really want this project to be cohesive and really professionally well made. So I'm going to just do research, see some discographies of some engineers, and I'll eventually put my trust in them with whatever songs and be like, go for it, make it yours, claim it.
Yeah.
So I might have Vinny D. Vinny D's the one who mixed Stay on Top. He's in Miami. Solid. He's 92-time platinum engineer, stellar, and he's so young. It's unbelievable how much this guy hustles.
What do you mean? How young is he?
I think he's in his early 30s.
Wow.
So having 92 platinum records at that age is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he's just a really good guy. He was really sociable. We were in constant communication, even though he just literally works nonstop. He still makes sure that he does everything properly and to the client's approval. And it was great. It was really good. I got the first mix back, and the first mix was the one because we ended up doing 4 more, but then we got brought back to the first mix, and we were like, you know what, this is it. Like you got it on the first try. Yeah.
Now. Sounds like you do a lot by yourself then, as you said, like writing all that. How much time does this stuff take for you, man? Like, how much time do you invest in this, like, in a week?
Yeah, so on top of that, I work 2 jobs, so
my word,
it's crazy, man. But it's the hustle, dude. You gotta appreciate every second of the hustle and manifest that it's gonna work in your favor. Like you gotta just work hard and manifest that it's going to be good. People are going to start feeling that energy, and people are going to.
Do you ever get the feeling of like, why am I doing this? Like you just want to give up, like.
Yeah.
And then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What helps you push through then? Like I mean, obviously probably music does, but like what else helps you push through that mental
It's
block.
really hard. It's just really people, especially personally for me, like my family holds me down. If it wasn't for my family constantly motivating me, not only my parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, other relatives, cousins, if it wasn't for people constantly motivating me to just keep going, I wouldn't have made it this far. And it's also just seeking mentorship is huge too. Through your process of whatever field you're going into, I hope that everybody that's listening that has a passion and things like that they really want to do, whether it's something that's about content or something that's about entertainment, like music and
Podcasting,
and interviews. Like, it's important to seek a mentor and seek somebody that you can consistently gain advice from. Luckily, behind the scenes, I've been able to obtain that. And it's been pretty big people. It's been people that I'm really honored to work alongside with. And just for their sake, I'm not going to disclose their names, but it's people that it's a blessing that I get to just even be in a call with because of what they do. But to seek mentorship from people like that is another reason why I just don't want to stop and I want to keep going. Obviously, the hard part is starting from the bottom. I'm really grateful for how Stay on Top is doing, and it's all a process. You have to trust the process. You have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to wrestle with yourself. You have to wrestle with your imagination in a sense. Like, I constantly visualize myself performing on a big stage and doing all these big things, but it's like I want it so bad. But
have you done any shows yet? Like any even small gigs?
I have some planned. I'm looking to do one in my town locally at the end of the summer, and I'm hoping I can do some college stuff in the fall. I'm planning that
LVC?
stuff out. LVC might be one of them, man.
There you go, man.
Yeah, I'm pushing for it. I might do something with Valley Fest. I have to just continue to get myself out there and do what it takes, because that stuff just doesn't come to you. You have to work for it. But with my music and with Stay on Top and the energy that it brings, I really want to be able to have that opportunity to perform that in front of a crowd that will go ham and go crazy to it. And just,
would you hope to have more songs before you do a show, though?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to put more out. I do need to put more out for sure. And again, this album, I'm hoping to do sort of a tour with it, because a lot of the music is really great, and it's music that can be performed with a live band. That would be awesome. Do
you have people who do instrumentation for you already, or you would just figure that out when you go?
I can do it. I just need to have those people that that are just so passionate about the instrument that they play and their craft that they understand my language of when I explain instrumentation. Because there are so many artists that have these bands that they're able to do that. I'm a big John Bellion fan, and a lot of people don't know him, but look him up. I mean, he's a big time producer, big time writer, but he's also an artist. And he had some successful projects to where he went on tour, and he was able to put together a band that understands his language. So he says to the drums, yo, drums, you gotta do the do-do-do-da-da-da. And it's he has his own language that they understand, which is incredible. It's incredible, some of the musicianship of these players. But at the end of the day, it's all about creativity, passion, and talent, and putting it all together, fusing it. So I'm hoping again I get to that point, and this process thus far though has been amazing.
Nice. So, are there any artists that you like? You kind of mentioned already some. Have there been any that you actually met with in person at all, or just people you look up to? I
have some artists that I've been on calls with that are really cool, and again, just for their sake, I'm not going to disclose names, but it's really incredible how down to earth they are. It's pretty awesome, to kind of understand what it's like getting to that point of being a signed artist and
Are they full time?
Full time. Yep. One of these artists that I'm talking to, that I've been in touch with a couple times is a reggae artist, and it's funny because a lot of people I've been getting connected with are in the reggae scene, but it's cool because a person is a person. Any connection, whatever it takes to get networked, is huge. But yeah, I've been on the call with some of these big time reggae artists, and it's really cool to like kind of hear their vision out for their projects and like be associated with their business calls and like just listen in and understand what it's like. It's really, really motivating, especially like me being a pop artist, like to be able to do that as a pop artist and develop these plans, like it is really sweet to do it as a job. Yeah.
So I'm assuming it inspires you more the more you talk to them.
Oh yeah. No, and talking to them is really cool. Just like, they've heard my stuff before, these artists, and they say that, you're at a very, very good start for your age. Because a lot of these artists are older. That I've met. They're like in their mid-30s. And they're like, for my age, they're saying, you're off to a really great start and don't stop.
But I mean,
it's an honor.
They're in their mid-30s, man. Like when they were your age, they wouldn't quite have had the streaming services and stuff that we have now. Like
they don't.
That's the thing about music right now with like streaming, with like SoundCloud, Spotify, all these things. Like it's so easy to get content out there.
Yeah, and they're trying really hard to kind of manifest in it because again, they're used to the age of where CDs are sold and things like that. But we don't live in that generation anymore. We live in the world of streaming. And streaming is a lot harder to make money.
Yep.
But again, it's really cool just to see that like they got the labels backing them up and they got a whole marketing team working with them, and it's all awesome, man. It's all really inspiring, and I hope at the end of the day, like that these artists are passionate about what they're doing. I didn't want to get too in depth with them when I talked with them. It was kind of they were all the talks I've had because they're so busy.
Yeah.
A lot of talks I've had with artists that are like signed and moving they were all brief talks, and I didn't get the chance to ask them if like you really still have that passion of music since you started, because it's like I have this passion now of starting, and I don't ever want to let this go. I don't ever want to get consumed by the culture.
Do you feel that's something that could happen?
Oh yeah.
Like you'd be like, I know even like for doing this podcast and stuff, putting a lot of grind and work into it. I'm not like nearly as big as any like Joe Rogan or anything, but like even all the work I put into, sometimes I get to the end of the day, I'm like, man, I'm just exhausted. And you're like, am I enjoying this anymore? Do you ever get that feeling like with your stuff? And then is that kind of like the fear of what you have might happen?
Yeah. I think that's like a big fear is like, wondering if I'm ever going to develop the fan base that I want to obtain without having backing like of somebody big. Because it's really hard. It's like, you got to accept the fact that like, we live in a world of social media where like people's attention spans are low, and like it takes time for people to really believe in you. It takes time for people to have faith in your product. And
do you hope to be independent then? Is that kind of like a goal of yours?
Yeah, I want to try and push to be independent for as long as I can, because I do believe, and I have to be it's kind of in a boastful sense, but I do believe that my product is very valuable, and I do believe that my style and my creativity and production aspects are unique. So I'm going to be very decisive when it comes to... What
would you say makes it unique? Or don't you really know? Is it just a sense?
The ways I come up with ideas and the ways that I hear ideas in my head, and how, I can't say I do it, I put it on Ableton perfectly, because I don't, nobody does, but I'd like to think that I'm pretty accurate when I have a melody in my head. Here's what I usually do when I come up with ideas for songs. Like, it's funny because most times I've done it, I've been at work, I've been at church, and all of a sudden I have a melody in my head that I really like. So what I do is during work, I usually go to the bathroom, I pull out my phone, I go to voice memos, and I record the melody that I'm thinking in my head.
The person in the other stalls is like, what else
you doing? Yeah. Thankfully, nobody's there yet, because it's usually before the service starts. But that's how it's been, at least lately. But the thing that's really unique about me is I don't have perfect pitch, but I have really, really strong relative pitch. So I will go to the bathroom, I'll do the voice memo, and I'll know every single note
Mm-hmm.
that I'm singing before I even get to the piano. So like right as I get home and I get to the MIDI,
Yeah.
I already know the notes, so I play it, and then I just go from there. Like it's not like I have to like go to a producer, or I have to go to somebody to be like, yo, can you write these notes down for me on manuscript or something like that?
Is that something that's common?
I don't know. I would hope not, because that would be a tedious thing. But
Yeah.
I just think it's very unique that I, as an individual, with no team, with no producer, no writer alongside me, it's all just me, just being able to have these melodies and create them into incredible projects.
So it comes pretty naturally then.
Yeah, I would like to think so. It's still a continuous growing experience for me as a producer, because I've only had my setup in my basement for a little over a year now, and I am at the point where it's a year past, and I have foundationally about 20 songs made.
Okay.
Which is pretty good, I would say, for having it for a year. But songs that have structure, that I know what the meaning of each one is going to be about. They have a story behind it. It's not kind of just jibber jabber and stuff. They're actually solidified, purposeful songs that have meaning to them. So, and with this album, like, some of them are going to make the cut for it, and some of them aren't. Some of them are going to be used for the future. So I have a fair idea of songs that I really want on this project, but I think it's important to have a whole palette of different songs and really being smart with what's cohesive and what's not, you know?
Do you have a set number that you're kind of looking to get on the track or on the album? I mean?
A lot of people, not as of now, a lot of people have told me, and I think I do see that from like Post Malone's project that he dropped yesterday. Like, he only had 14 songs on it, and normally artists like have, I wouldn't even say 14 because the last song is not even like a song, it's kind of like a recording. But most artists usually have about 16 to 18, and a lot of people I've been talking to are saying, like, because people have such short attention spans lately, make a short album.
Yeah.
Have it be like 8 songs.
What's the difference between an album and an EP?
An EP is a lot shorter, and it's kind of just like, it's usually, I honestly might create an EP. This is all kind of through strategic business things I'm talking with my team, but EPs can be a form of strategy if you just have a bunch of songs that don't really have cohesive meaning. Yeah. That's the thing about albums. A lot of albums are very conceptual. Yeah. And have meaning behind it. So, like, have meaning backing it up. So that's why EPs are kind of just like an opportunity for you to put a little thing out to show your talent. Yeah. Which I might consider doing with songs that I don't use for the album, but I don't even know like a name for the EP yet or anything like that, because I've been so dialed in on this album because it's so personal to me, and I just want to get it out. Yeah. I do, but it takes a lot of time, so I just got to keep working and strategizing. But yeah, I'm excited, man. Yeah,
I wish you the best of luck. I hope things go really well. If people want to find out more about you, follow you anywhere, listen to your music, where can they find you?
Yeah, so Matt Bippart is kind of my name for everything. So on Instagram, my name is Matt Bippart with no spaces. On Spotify, my name is Matt Bippart, just the name, normally spelled with the capitals and everything. And on YouTube, it's the same thing. It's just my name. If you type in Matt Bippart, Stay on Top, the music video will be the first thing that pops up. And I'm also on TikTok, Matt Bippart on TikTok. I make some fun content. I'm just trying to get stuff out to show myself as a producer and things that I make. You'll hear some snips of stuff from the album. I've already put a few things out that are going to be some sneak peeks. Yeah. Man. Yep. So, but I just wanted to say one thing real quick before we wrap up. But I always like try to end my times talking with people to be motivating. So I always just want to let everybody know that listens into this, like, as a musician, keep doing things that help you out, and don't lose hope in life, and know that you got good things coming for you, even when things feel super dark. There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to stay passionate about what you really want to do and go for it, and don't quit. Even if people, no matter how much hatred you get, no matter how much people despise what you're doing, no matter how much people backlash you and say like you're never going to make it, don't stop. If you have that passion, that's what's going to get you to the top. So you're going to stay on top.
I like the plug in there. Stay on top.
Exactly. That's it.
Thank you, Matt, for coming on the show. Really enjoyed having you and wish you the best of luck, man.
Thanks a lot, bro. Means the world.
If you would like to learn more about how to like the world, subscribe to whatever podcast platform you're listening to and follow along, because we would love to have you, and we continue to cover topics like this down the road, and you can grow in your understanding and in your knowledge of these different important topics that we deal with every day. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. On these outlets, I ask questions, I run polls, people can DM me, and I'm going to do some more special content on there anyway. So definitely follow along there and join the Like the World community. And you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like video content, and I post some extra videos on there occasionally. So follow along, join the community, and we're going to have a good time learning more about the important topics of life.